We are going to talk about some physical as well as communicative developmental milestones for children from birth to age 5. So, birth to 3 months. At 1 month, you're going to basically see that your baby has some strong reflexes for just being born. Their hands are mainly going to be staying in fists because they do not have great motor control or motor abilities at 1 month of age. They are going to be able to bring their hands to their face, and their hearing is actually fully matured. However, they can only see 12 inches ahead of them, so their vision is definitely not as developed as their hearing is at this age. And they are also able to recognize familiar sounds, and they'll turn their head towards those sounds. Building upon 1 month of age, at 2 months, the baby is going to be able to begin to smile as well as coo or gurgle. You'll start hearing them make more sounds at 2 months of age. And with 3 months, building upon one month and 2 months, at 3 months you'll be able to see the baby raise their head and chest when they're lying on their stomach, or you might hear that be referred to as tummy time. For babies at this age, they are able to grasp toys in their hands, kick and straighten out their legs, as well as they can watch faces and move falling objects. They also become more expressive when they're playing with other people. You can kind of go back and forth with them at this age and be able to play with them. At 6 months, you are going to be able to see the baby begin to babble and imitate sounds. They can actually start to roll over around this age, bring things to their mouth, recognize familiar faces. They also can start to sit without support, and they actually start responding to their own name. At 9 months, they start to understand the words no. And they can actually start standing while holding onto something and crawling. So you'll see them start moving a lot more at this age. They start to develop reduplicated babbling, which sounds like ma, 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 ba, 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 with non-reduplicated babbling emerging. And they actually establish object permanence at this time. They can start to look for things when you hide them, as well as when you play peekaboo with them. They think that you're actually gone when you're really just behind your hands. And they use their finger to point to things. At 12 months, development keeps increasing where they are able to stand without support, and they're also starting to walk at this age. They can respond to simple verbal requests, as well as they use inflection when they respond. They start saying their first word or words. They try to imitate words that you say to them. They can answer by shaking their heads, yes or no, to answer the questions that you're asking them, as well as they are able to feed themselves with their hands. At 18 months, they are going to start saying several more words, and these are going to be mainly nouns or everyday items that they see in their house. This could be milk, bottle, dog if the family has a dog, or just toys that they interact with on a daily basis. They can also point to show others what they want, and they actually start to learn body parts at this age and can scribble and draw if you give them some crayons and a paper. They can also start to follow one-step directions, such as like get down. They help to undress themselves. They can eat with a spoon at this time. They also start walking alone and can climb steps, and they are very attached to their caregiver at 18 months of age.
So at 2 years of age, a child's speech is around 50 to 75% intelligible. And intelligible just means if the child spoke to a complete stranger, that stranger would be able to understand about 50 to 75% of what the child is saying. And they're also able to understand the concepts of one and all. They begin requesting items by their names, and they're able to identify some more body parts than they were at 18 months. And then at 2 years of age, they begin to use 2 to 4 word phrases such as mommy go, and their expressive vocabulary, which is their ability to verbally communicate their wants and needs, and their receptive vocabulary, which is the communication that they are able to understand. they both increase, but at this age, they have a larger receptive than expressive vocabulary, so they're able to understand more than what they're able to express. When they speak at this age, they frequently repeat what they say, so especially in the beginning when they start an utterance with I, or they repeat the first syllables a lot, their range of pitch increases. They frequently leave out final consonants or substitute for the wrong consonants. And motor-wise, they're able to walk on their tiptoes, scribble things that resemble real words and letters, able to undress themselves, and able to climb well. And then at 3 years of age, they are able to understand more concepts, and one example is opposite words such as stop and go. They're able to follow 2 to 3 step directions. They begin to use language to express emotions, such as if they're happy or they're sad. They are able to use 3 to 5 words in their utterances. So an example of that would be I want milk. Their receptive and expressive vocabularies continue to grow, with receptive vocabulary still being larger than their expressive. They increase their rate of speech to a more adult-like form. They're around 80% intelligible, which is an increase from when they were 2 years old. They're able to tell 2 events in a chronological order, and they can consistently use regular plural. So an example of that would be cats. An example of the use of possessives could be daddy's car. And a simple past tense verb would be I walked. So they're able to use those more consistently and correctly. They increase their productions of different types of sentences that vary in complexity. They're able to unbutton but not button up their clothing. They can put on their shoes, although they may not be put on the right feet. And with support from others, they're able to draw different shapes.
At 4 years of age, children are understanding of spatial concepts, such as over, under, in, and out. Their receptive and expressive vocabulary are continuing to increase. They can ask simple questions about a short story, such as the characters or the setting, and they're using adult-like grammar most of the time. They'll ask for definitions of words and labels of unknown objects that they do not know, and they're also reducing the number of repetitions when speaking. They also have a reduction of sound emissions and substitutions. They're using 4 to 6 words in a sentence, such as I like that car, and they can balance on one foot for 5 seconds. They are potty trained, and they can dress and undress without any assistance. At 5 years, they'll begin to ask how questions, and they can appropriately use past and future tense, such as we went or I will go. They can use conjunctions, such as and, or, because, and the receptive and expressive vocabulary is also continuing to increase. They can name the days of a week in order, and they'll use descriptives in sentences such as my house is big and blue. They can accurately tell a simple story. They can tie their own shoes and build complex structures with blocks, and also draw recognizable people with a head, body, legs, and arms.
So just a friendly reminder that all of these milestones are general guidelines. So you should really avoid strictly applying these age developmental milestones to a child. Just because a child is not meeting certain milestones does not mean that they are delayed. Children grow and develop at different paces, and if you have any concerns, you should really see your pediatrician. They will be able to direct you as if your child is meeting those developmental milestones appropriately or not. Here are just some review questions that we have created that are based on the slides that we have previously. And if you want to pause the computer and answer these, we will have the answers on the next slide so you can test your knowledge and see if you retained any of the information that we said earlier. And here are our resources that we used during this presentation.